How's it going? Let's Talk with Patrick podcast, one of the realest podcasts in the world, the land, the galaxy, the whole entire universe. That is right. Thanks for tuning in with your guy P Thriller. On this Sunday. I may put this episode on Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube as well, but I'm gonna put it on social media for now. Well, yeah, I might as well, because not everybody that follow me is on social media. Yeah. So I need to do that. Yeah. But I want to talk about mental health and therapy because it's such a real thing. And all of us had our moments, whether we want to admit it or not, you know. And I know nowadays it's such a trending thing, trending topic when it comes to mental health and social media and all these influencers. And for some reason, everybody nowadays think they're therapists. They think they have all the answers. They're some kind of motivational speaker all of a sudden. Yeah. I'll be the first to tell you, I am not that. All right. I am not perfect at all. I'm an imperfect man. All right. But I can admit that. And I'm constantly growing, trying to evolve as much as I can. But I want to talk about my own personal experiences, right? So a long time ago. All right. So let me see, back in the day, my mother worked for a rehab center. It's a rehab mental health facility. I met some of her clients. One lady I met, I think she was a prostitute. Yeah, she was a prostitute. She died of AIDS. She shared needles and stuff like that, which that was pretty crazy. And of course, my father, he was a character. Anybody know him, they'll tell you that. So I've been around. I met a lot of people through him, and ooh, Lord, that's a whole story in itself. So fast forward to 96, all right? 96, we had the Summer Olympics, all right? Some of you guys that follow me, y'all weren't born in that time period, but it was a lot of pandemonium when it came to the Olympics, all right? I remember seeing people run with torches. That was like one of the most incredible things I've saw in my life, besides on TV. But I saw it in person, saw people running with it. And my brother manager at the time, her name is Alice, she got killed. It was an explosion that happened. Like this guy named Eric Rudolph had put a bomb there, and yeah, the I think it was like nails that went through her head and they killed her. And you had Bill Clinton and George W. Bush, George Bush Senior, and like Bob Dole and Al Sharpton. All these people came to the funeral. I didn't go, but my brother did because he knew her. I didn't know her. But so anyway, I also learned how to make beats during that time. My brother had a beat machine. He had a group at the time. They used to open up for Goody Mob, and they did a little music thing. They could have really went far if they would have pushed it more, but they had other plans and stuff, and that's just how it go. So I started learning how to make beats at the time, but it's a whole different conversation. I'm kind of letting you know the atmosphere, what was going on at that time. All right, so fast forward to September '96. The rapper Tupac Shakur, he was the biggest rapper at that time, and I was a real big Tupac fan. I still am. My favorite rapper ever, and he got killed. He got shot in that drive-by in Las Vegas, and he died in the hospital. And I remember seeing on the news, I'm like, oh my God. I didn't say, oh my God. I'm like, what? you know? And so anyway, that same weekend, my cousin Keisha got murdered. She was 15 years old. She was born in 1980. Her birthday was that next month in October 21st, but she got killed that September '96. And we grew up together. And that hurt me really bad. It did hurt me so bad because we had saw her like a week or two before she got killed. We saw her at the mall. Me, my sister Jay, my mother, rest in peace, my mom, her friend Dale Sanders was with us as well. Dale, she's a pastor now. Who was at the mall. We had saw her, talked to her for a little bit. Because at that time, I used to go to the arcade. Like, that was my thing. Go to the arcade, go to Foot Locker, look at some shoes. You know what I mean? Look at different clothes that was popping at the time. And, it was just simple. Like, life was crazy back then. Yes, it was. But it was very simple because we didn't have all this technology that we have now. And, we still had pay phones at the time. We still had beepers at the time. And cell phones was different back then. So they were not how they are now. Not even close, okay? But anyway, to go to the wake, go to the funeral, just see her in the casket, just lifeless like that. It was just such a, it was such a fucked up experience to me. For real, it was bad. And I remember going to school, and this officer I knew, he came and started talking to us about random, crime and stuff like that. And he brought up my cousin's situation. He didn't like say her name, but he talked about the situation in detail. And when he talked about how the killer had put a pillow in the back of her head and shot in the back of the head, that just made me like lose it. Because I knew the story, you know what I mean? I knew it, and I lost it. Like I cry hysterical, and I don't cry like that, but I did that time. Like Jesus Christ, And so this woman I met, well, I knew at the time, she was a counselor, so she ended up, talking to me about it. She put me to the side. I went to her office. We talked for a while. I don't even think. I think I stopped going. Yeah, 97 stopped going. So 96 for that. I said about a couple of months, a month or two, whatever. I was talking to her at I say once a week, once twice a week, because it was a lot on me. It was a lot, and I've been through death before, yeah, plenty of it, but that one just hit me differently, just because, like I said, we grew up together. You know what I'm saying? And to see her like that in the casket, I'm just like, you know what I mean? And she got shot. Geez, yeah, it was bad. And I mean, it still bothers me now sometimes, but at the same time, I'd done a lot of healing too. But at that time, going to therapy, counseling, that was like a crazy people thing. That's what people made it seem to be. So internally, I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I'm not crazy. I'm sane. So I stopped going. I did. So my older sister, her friend got murdered. I'm like, Jesus Christ. She was a teenager. She about to be a mom, actually. She got killed. I'm like, jeez, man. And we had so many different deaths that happened. A lot of, people that was close to us that died. Some of them got killed. Some of them died from all kind of things. And I should have did therapy in those times, but I didn't. So fast forward 2008. Well, July 3rd. I'm sorry, July 3rd, I think. Yeah, the 3rd. My brother, Ant, he had killed himself on the 2nd. I didn't know it until the next day, the next morning, when I had to go to work. It's like about 5 or 6 in the morning. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like, I said, who is this? I look at it through the peephole. It's my sister. I said, oh shit. I said, what's going on? So she crying. She came to my apartment, because I had a nice apartment at the time. Nice 1-bedroom apartment. I'm paying like, what, $490, $500 a month at the time. And I said, what's going on? What's wrong? She said, Anthony's dead. I said, Anthony who? She said, our brother. I said, our brother. I didn't know what to say. I just looked at her. She was crying. I'm just like, what? And she had somebody with her, so they ended up leaving because I had to get ready for work. But instead I lay on my bed for a while. I need like to process what's going on. I don't know what's happening right now. Like this is fucking weird. So then my boy Figaro, rest in peace Figaro, he called me. He's like, man, Pat, I'm sorry about what happened to your brother and blah blah blah. And I said, it's real. Like this really happened, huh? He said, yeah. I said, damn, I was hoping you would say no. And I just got quiet for a long time. He said, you all right, P? I said, I'm going to do the best that I can. I don't have no choice. So I got the phone with him. I ended up going to work. At the time, I was supervisor at the cookie company at the mall. So I'm trying to work. The cookies, they wasn't done. Well, it was a customer I had. She wanted a specific cookie. I think it was snickerdoodle or macadamia. It was something. I can't remember what it was. But one of those cookies was still in the oven. It was, almost finished. It wasn't finished yet, but it was getting there. She started going irate on me, going crazy and talking crazy and blah, 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 screaming at me and stuff like that and da, 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 da. And I said, look, man, I hear you. I understand your frustration. I get it. My brother killed himself last night. I said, I'm sorry your cookie's not done. And then she just looked at me like in shock, like embarrassment, period. She was. And then she apologized. She said, I am so, so, so sorry. And I said, you know what? I hear you. I says, I hear you. But you need to be more mindful about how you treat people because you never know what somebody's going through. And I live for that. I said, look, man, I got to go, man. I just can't. I can't do this right now. So I left. I went to the I went to a tire shop because I had to get some new tires on my car because my car tires were going bald. I had a Honda Accord at the time. So I drove to my mom's house and went to my parents' house. That's not my mom's son, by the way. That's my dad's son. But my brother loved my mom like that was his mother. Real talk. But I got to the house and it was a reef on the door, and my emotions kind of start setting in a little bit. I still didn't cry yet. It was just this somber feeling I'm having. I walked inside, everybody give me a hug, blah 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 blah. People thought I was dead. They thought it was me that did it because my cousin Candyman came over. He was like, "Oh my God, is Patrick really dead?" And I said, "No, I'm not dead. I'm still alive, man." He said, "Oh, okay," and that was it. So yeah. So anyway, I had to go to the store. I had to buy a shirt. We bought a polo shirt for my brother to wear in the casket. And at that time, no church wanted to do his service just because he killed himself. They didn't want to do it. They're like, well, kill himself, that's a sin and blah blah. I'm like, dang. So, my mom friend Dale became a pastor, and she ended up doing the service at the funeral home that we had his body at. We got him cremated. And yeah, man, it was such a weird thing. Like I started going through all these different emotions. Like I'm becoming more angry and more antisocial and just don't want to live at times. I didn't like a lot of times I wake up, I'm like, why I'm here? Like, what's the point? And then I lost my job. I lost my apartment. Like all this stuff was just happening. It was like a domino effect. All this stuff. I had this dark cloud over me. And I ended up moving in with my brother, my oldest brother, the one I mentioned earlier, who had the manager who got killed at the Olympics. Him and I became roommates, and this time it was such a rough situation because you had, we had another guy that moved in with us as well. You had 3 grown men with no employment, like nothing. You know what I mean? Barely any food. It was a dark time period in my life. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't even focus with boxing while I wanted to at the time. Even though I had potential, I really couldn't because I could not even feed myself the way I should have. My weight was like at 150. 147. I was strong. I can hit hard and bang, but mentally I just could not focus because I could not rest. And then plus, I was not getting the proper nutrition I needed. I didn't get enough protein, enough calories, none of that stuff. I eat what I could. Sometimes I eat once a day. Sometimes I eat twice a day. Sometimes I eat in oatmeal for dinner, and I try to go to sleep so my stomach don't wake me up, like keep me up all night. So yeah, that was a real rough time period in my life. It was like I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel at all, and I'm just going through this depression, and I'm trying to mask it, trying to hide it, but I'm just angry. Then my boy Ali, who was a boxer as well, he did some time in prison. He took me in his wing. He had a brass shop out in Buckhead, and he said, have me go over there and clean, help him clean the brass and antiques. I made about $40-$50 a day, sometimes if that, under table money. We had a guy who played for the NFL. I forgot what team it was, but he's from New Orleans, but I forgot what team it was. And he had towards ACL, and he started working with us. And I'm thinking, I said, how you go from making hundreds of thousands to millions to working with us, barely making $50 a day? You know what I mean? That was such a humbling experience to be around that, to be honest. But luckily, my boy Ali, he definitely helped me kind of steer my direction in a positive manner, to be honest. Because when the recession started to get crazy, that's when he had to sell the place. He's like, man, he had to get rid of the dude. And then weeks later, he had to get rid of me. He's like, Pat, we need to talk for real. What are you gonna do with your life, man? What are you going to do? I said, I'm about to shut this place down, moving to Miami, and I can't afford this place, and blah 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 blah. And I said, damn, man. So I had to go home. Well, I went to the gym too. My bad. Let me kind of backtrack. I went to the gym too because at the time I couldn't afford membership anymore, but the back door was open, so I would sneak in and just work out and hit the bag and spar sometimes. And to the point when they locked the door, I couldn't do it no more. I said, okay, well, I guess I can't work out. I'll go run at the park down the street from my house. So as I went home and laid down for a while, stopped going to the gym, Ali's words was echoing in my mind. He said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, oh my God. And I had jewelry, gold jewelry at the time. I said, I'm going to go pawn my stuff in. get some money, get my cell phone cut back on because my cell phone was off like 6 months at a time. So I ended up going to the pawn shop. I pawned my jewelry in. I think they gave me like for $300. So I went to the store, got me some pizza, frozen pizza, got some oatmeal, some milk. Oh man, I was living it up. Okay, I was doing my thing when it come to grocery shopping. Yes, Lord. Okay, I got my cell phone cut back on. I was happy man. So then I started, applying for different jobs. I got hired at Sam's, and things start coming together slowly. All right, start coming together a little bit. Still, this dark cloud over me. I still had this going on. I got back to boxing. Then my car got stolen at work. That pissed me off really bad. Had the Cutlass, they got stolen. I said, really? So anyway, make a long story. That's a whole different story as well. I'm not going to bore you with all that. I'm just kind of give you a timeline about what was happening during those time periods of my life when I had to do therapy. All right, so I moved to Colorado in 2012. 2014, my nephew Logan was born. I flew down to meet him. Me and my ex-girlfriend, we flew down. Had a great time. I saw my cousin Darla. Then a couple of months after that, she gets murdered. She gets shot, thrown in the trunk of her car, and get burnt up in her car beyond recognition. That broke me when it happened. That broke me for real. Like I cried a lot during that time period. And like I said, I don't cry that much, but that broke me. Cause she's like a little sister to me. She was. Like we was like very close. And to just it was, I don't know, just the fact that she was a victim to that, I just could not wrap my hand. I just couldn't. I couldn't wrap my hand around it. It was such a crazy experience. Like stuff you see on TV, but this is my real life. This is what we really experienced. Like you can Google this story, you can see it. You you had the news crew come by and interview my Aunt Sam and my mom and everybody that was there. They were interviewing people. I didn't want to do it. They had a vigil and everything, and such a crazy situation, crazy thing. And so I was real depressed about that for a while. So anyway, make a long story short, because it was, more death that happened after that. But 2019, my mother in the hospital. She had a diabetic episode. Her blood sugar was like 1,200, like sky. The doctor told us, hey, if your blood sugar get this high again, you may not survive. So I flew home for that week to take care of her. We went to the museum. We went out to eat. We had a great time. So when I got on the airport to fly back to Colorado, for some reason, it felt like that'd be my last time seeing my mom alive. Because when we hugged each other very tight. And her and I both cried, like bad. And I don't do that either, but we cried. Such a weird feeling. All right. So then, later on that year, right before 2020 occurred, my mother's friend had died. So then, which was so weird, she died. So after that, my mom called me on my birthday. We talked for like 3 hours. She told me all these different stories I never heard in my life about family stuff. And I told my brother, I said, you ever heard about it? He's like, nah. I said, well, my mom told me this, blah, blah, blah. So then she told me, she's like, I had a dream that my friend Sharon had came to me and told me how good heaven was and I should join her and blah, blah, blah. And I said, Mom, this is just a dream. Don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Next thing you know, my mom's phone was cut off for a while, for like a week or a few days. And I get a phone call from my brother. He was telling me, Mom is brain dead. I said, she's brain dead. I said, what do you mean she's brain dead? And he told me, yeah, she was out for 8 hours. I'm like, 8 hours? I said, what? So that was just not good. And he told me that while I was at work, and I just bawled at work. I walked around the corner and just let it out for a second, got myself together, and continued working. So anyway, so she in the hospital. I'm hearing about all this stuff that's going on, crazy stuff going on. And I didn't have no money to fly because I got paid once a month and my bills was paid. So I'm like, I don't have that much money besides the money I have, which I have to let it last the whole month till I get paid again. So my brother's wife, she said, "Hey, I get you a buddy pass. I know somebody at the airport. Blah blah blah. They work for Delta." And I said, "Cool." So I went to the airport. Man, I would never do a buddy pass ever again. I had to stay there overnight. I said, "What?" I said, "No, no, no," because I'm asking them. I said, "Hey, did anybody cancel their flight so I can fly home? Because my mom is in the hospital. She's dying." And it's like, "No, I'm sorry. You got to wait until somebody cancels." I said, "What?" So I told my brother, "Look, man." I called. I said, "Look, I just y'all just make a decision while I'm here. I can't make it. I'm gonna take the shuttle back home." He's like, "Nah, we're gonna get you a ticket." So they ended up buying me a ticket, and I flew home. It's such a weird feeling because I went over to our cousin Jackie's place. That's where we were staying at. I went and changed my clothes. We went to the hospital. That was such a weird moment, weird time. Oh my God, everybody crying, and you got people flying from different states that was coming to see my mom. This woman named Phaedra from the Real Housewives of Atlanta show. Her mother was there. She did the New Testament at my mom's funeral. They've been friends since the 70s. And like I say, it was just such a weird thing. And, my mom was unconscious. She was on the, I think it's ventilator, I think. Yeah, that machine. So we all had time to be with her alone and talk to her and kind of, let her know how much we love her and all this other stuff like that. And it was such a weird thing. I just, it fucked me up. It did. It fucked me up. And I never got over that. I mean, I navigate, I live, yeah, but that will always be a part of me that just, that's gone. Oh man. So we had to pull the plug because the doctor's like, "Hey, all right, we gotta, pull the plug soon." I'm like, "Damn." So me and my siblings talked about it. I said, "Yeah, let's just do it." At this point, I'm just done being in the hospital. We've been here long enough. Nothing has changed. Nothing has progressed. Nothing. So we did that, and we had to watch them, take her body on the gurney and out the hill. It was just messed up, real messed up. And so after the funeral, I'm kind of leaving stuff out, but after the funeral, it was just very interesting. And I stayed like another week, and I ended up calling my manager at the time. I said, "Hey, Susan, I need to like meet a therapist or something, for real." So I flew back, went to work. Her and I talked about it. I said, I need to do therapy. I said, because I'm about to go crazy. I'm about to lose my mind. I said, so much stuff I done buried down deep into the surface for so long, for decades. I need to let this out before I go crazy. And she did. She found this therapist. She's actually from Georgia as well, which was ironic. And we talked for like 3 hours. And she was like, "Yo," she said, "you went through a lot." She said, "Your life has been really crazy." I said, "Yeah, it is. That would make me who I am though." And I ended up meeting with this other therapist. I met with her like once a week. It was like in 2020, like right before the pandemic occurred. It's like right after like Kobe Bryant had died. So I did therapy with her, and that was just such a crazy time period for me. For real, I felt lost. I felt like I didn't want to be alive anymore. I had that feeling again. Because like I said before, that I used to be so judgmental of people who want to commit suicide, or people that don't want to be alive anymore. I was so judgmental of that before that. But then when my brother did what he did, and then of course my mom dying, I start feeling all these feelings. I'm like, damn, so I get it. No judgment here. I understand now. I get it. And that was such a it was rough. It was really rough, but I did therapy for a while, about 6 sessions. Pandemic occurred. It was like, "Hey, you can do it over the phone if you want to, because we're not doing in-person therapy session." I said, "Well, if we can't do it in person, I don't want to do it at all, because I'm an intimate kind of guy." So I stopped going. So this is when I fell into more of a depression. I started gaining weight. I was buying ice cream sandwiches, eating that all day long. I eat it for breakfast. I eat it for dinner. You know what I mean? And eating French fries and whatever I can eat, I'm eating it. Starting to gain weight. Okay. And then I say that summertime of 2020, because it was a few more deaths that happened. Like some of my friends that I knew, like Bobby, he got murdered, and Travis got murdered. All this stuff that was just happening, just going on. So I had to take a deep breath. really look at myself in the mirror because my pants were real tight. I'm walking up and down the steps. I'm breathing heavily. I'm like, I said, what in the world? That's not me normally. That's not, no. So I had to get myself together. I stopped buying certain food. I said, let me just start trying to eat cleaner if I can. Maybe not perfect, but a little cleaner so I can start shedding this weight. Start doing more cardio. Start running at the park. But then we had those fires happening in Colorado. It was, Utah and Colorado. Like it was just really crazy. Real bad fires. Real bad. So I had to go through that. I had to go through those situations, and my mom always echoed my head. She always tell me, life goes on. You got to keep moving forward, and that's what kept me going. I said, because it does. Because even though I was going through a lot of hell, and then of course, like my pops dies 8 months after my mom died, and I'm just like, I said, what in the fuck is going on? My Aunt Lisa died, and my Uncle Terry died a week before my dad. I'm just like, what? You know what I mean? It was just so much going on in my life at that time, and I had to really, dig deep in myself and my soul to dig myself out of it, because I didn't. It was just so much turmoil happening, and luckily I did therapy. Like I said, the therapy helped, and also my mom's words echo my mind. And I do want to get back to therapy again eventually, but right now, podcasting my therapy, working out is my therapy. That helps a whole lot, just to kind of, let me see, I guess, exercise my feelings out, or um, expressing myself. That makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, that's my mental health thing. I had to get out my own ego and get some help, because I knew I was going crazy. I knew the way stuff was happening, I was not gonna make it if I didn't talk to somebody, none judgment. If I didn't, because working out was fine, it was great, but I needed more than just that. I needed to actually vent and get it out and process how I'm feeling. Because a lot of times you talk about things, you find out the answer while you're talking about it. You had the answer the whole time, you don't realize it. So I had to do that, and I'm thankful for that. Like, I'm an advocate of that. I think a lot of people should like find somebody to talk to about certain things if you feel comfortable enough to talk to them about it. Because men as a whole, we have been conditioned for so long to not share our feelings, and we got to be tough. Which I get it. That's fine. I get it. But sometimes we do need to talk. We do need to have people to talk to sometimes, and be able to vent and express ourselves, because it's not okay to hold in all this information. Well, not information, but holding all this like trauma. It's not. Because if you got kids, you got a young son, you want your son to talk to you. Especially if your son blow his head off or hang himself. You're like, okay, well, why my son never talk to me? Because of that kind of perspective that we have, that mindset that we have, is as far as like not talking to people, and, being too much of a man or being too tough. And I'm not saying you got to talk about everything, but if something really bothering you, like, find a therapist to talk to. For real. Just talk to somebody. Even if it's me, talk to somebody, okay? I'm just saying. But that's my own personal thing, and I think mental health is very great. Well, I think it's great that we're talking about it. I try to do meditation. I needed to do more of meditation. I don't do it as much like I should, but I'm trying to get more into that. That helps a lot as well, to recenter yourself, refocus, breathe deep, in your nose, out your mouth. And I try to be transparent as much as I can. Just be honest, open and honest about how I feel and who I am as a person. Like I said, I'm not perfect at all, but I definitely have my own traumas too. You know what I mean? We all in this together. Well, at least some of us are. I like to think. But thanks for tuning in with me. Thanks for sitting there watching this with me and listening to me talk for a second. I know it probably bore some of you guys, but this is my real life. This is real shit. This is what I went through. I went through a lot more than that, but I'm just giving you the highlights of that. You know what I mean? Like that was some crazy stuff. It's something you never get over. You're always gonna have it in the back of your mind. You're always gonna have that void. You're gonna be certain music that you listen to, pictures, certain food. It's gonna remind you of certain people. It is. Especially when it comes to your family. And not to say that any other death is not important. I'm not saying that at all. But it's something about when it's your sibling or your parents, it hits differently. You can't even compare it. You cannot say you understand when you don't. That's the one of the things I don't like when people say. You could tell me that you empathize. I respect it. But if you say you understand, went through that, how can you understand where I'm coming from? You don't know what it's like. Like, it's a whole different feeling. And it's something I can't explain to you, because it does make you want to just lose your shit. It does. It make you want to not even be here at times. And it's like, what's the point of being here? For what? Like, the people that supported me, they gone. Like, my mom, she supported me. She's my biggest supporter. She came to my beat I had a beat battles I was doing, like music production stuff. She came to that. She supported me when it comes to, boxing. She supported me to, with anything I want to do. She supported me, and she always gave me words of encouragement. And that's something I miss dearly. But I'm my own cheerleader. I gotta cheer myself on. I gotta keep pushing forward. That's all I can do. You know what I mean? I'm a grown man. I've been grown for a long time, and I'm gonna keep doing me. I'm gonna keep making it happen. Like I said, I'm not perfect at all. No, that's I'm very honest. I'm being very honest right now. Whether people like it or not, it is what it is. But I hope y'all have a great day and just keep